So quick question, how do you go from this to this? Doesn't make sense from the surface, but there may be a little bit behind it. So let's talk about that in this video. What's up guys, I'm Darren, welcome back to yet another video. And I'll be honest with you guys, I love meeting people and interacting with people that invest in particular companies that they really believe in, including Metamaterial, which is obviously what we're going to talk about today. And it's really funny and cool when people get together and they start dissecting different news that they hear, which may be nothing, and they turn it into something. Like for example, there used to be an ongoing rumor that Metamaterial was working on a partnership with Tesla, which would have been amazing, but so far that hasn't really proven to be positive. A couple of days ago, I go on StockTwits, for inspiration, and there were a lot of people talking about this other company called WayRay. I personally had no idea what they were, and it all surrounded on the potential of a partnership with Metamaterial as usual. But this one kind of had a decent amount of evidence, not just coincidences, or maybe a little bit of both. In this video, I wanted to take you guys through my process, step-by-step process of how I went from learning what WayRay was to realizing how they could actually have some type of partnership with Metamaterial. But first, we obviously need to understand what WayRay is, besides the name of a company that's really hard to say perfectly. WayRay, them. So WayRay is a technology-based company that is supposedly responsible for creating the first augmented reality heads-up display for vehicles, which is a really cool thing. I've seen this technology before in vehicles, and I'm pretty sure this is something you can order off something like Amazon as well, where it'll give you a general idea of how fast you're going, the direction you're going, and other basic information like that. But with their technology, they can do some really intense stuff. For example, they have something called a deep reality display, which actually goes beyond of just showing you what's directly in front of you. It can actually give you some depth information. So if there is a building right in front of you or 20 feet in front of you, it can potentially give you information on the building. When you're navigating and you're following direction, it can put lines on the ground to show you which direction you're going, kind of like a video game. Speaking of video games, they have these cool games that you could use where they put coins on the road and you drive over them. Some really almost unnecessary, but pretty cool technology at the same time. And WayRay, a company that's backed by Porsche and already has technology used in vehicles such as the Genesis G80, is a company that could make a lot of noise, especially during this era where everybody's really excited about the future of the metaverse. But again, how could they be linking up with a company like Metamaterial? It's easy to answer off the surface just based on the applications that they have, especially if you know what Metamaterial is all about, but that doesn't mean they're gonna collab. So that's kind of where we're gonna go into the step-by-step of how I figured all of this out. So my little quick dive took me from StockTwits back to Twitter, where I saw a tweet posted by Mark Miller, who, if you guys invest in Metamaterials and you look at research and analytics online and you follow Metamaterials on Twitter, you'll see a lot of his tweets. He has a lot of great information and makes a lot of great comments about what's happening next and what could potentially be happening. And he posted a tweet about something that George Palikaris tweeted pretty recently, which is something I think I saw, but I couldn't find it since. And apparently the tweet was of the song Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, pretty cool song. And that was pretty much it. And obviously a lot of people that invest into that company were gonna read a lot into it. But he retweeted somebody's photo of some text of what this could potentially be about. And in the tweet it says that the song is called Blinding Lights and that the album itself is called After Hours and it was released on November 29th. All true things. But it's pretty interesting from there because November 29th, for one, is a couple of days from now, which will be a Monday. And the album's called After Hours. And a lot of news that come out about companies in the stock market typically comes out after the closing of the stock market, aka after hours. And some of the applications that they provide may prevent certain things like being blinded by lights. Blinding lights, after hours, November 29th. It's kind of adding up a little bit. Still weird, but adding up. So Mark Miller also said that this could be linked to an announcement that WayRay was already going to make about something called a hologractor, which it looks like it's either just an upgraded version of their AR immersive display, or it's actually a vehicle inspired by that technology with that technology inside of it. That I'm not 100% sure of, but apparently if you go on their Twitter site, it says that we're gonna have a few days to find out, and a few days from then is November 29th. But what made this really interesting is that WayRay actually responded to those tweets and said, we don't do these things by accident. Basically, tune in on November 29th, something relative to that. Basically saying, we have some big news. Now, what is it? We don't know. But there's some other stuff that kind of follows this that I found that links it a lot more with Metamaterial. And that link is another company called Covestro. So if you've been following this channel for a while, obviously, thank you, by the way, you would have heard me talk about Covestro at some point in time. Covestro is a photopolymer company that makes film out of raw material, which is obviously good for the earth. And they use that film in different sectors. One of those sectors being automobiles. And one of the applications they use within automobiles is immersive displays, kind of like HUD related stuff. And what makes this company significant in this situation is that on November of 2020, roughly a year ago, they announced a multi-year supply sharing partnership with Metamaterial, where they allowed Metamaterial to access all their supplies, primarily their photopolymer films, which Metamaterial would ultimately use on multiple applications, including but not limited to AR displays. And that type of film that would be used within that application is something called Bayfoil. Bayfoil is just a transparent photopolymer film that can be used specifically with applications based off AR. Now, what's really interesting about that situation also is that a couple of months ago, they reiterated on their Twitter page that they would have that partnership, that multi-year partnership with Metamaterial, but not only that, but they would also be working on a grade 2 Bayfoil film with another company called WayRay. So ultimately, it's obvious that there is no immediate link between Metamaterial and WayRay, something like, hey, these companies are actually partnering up, but there is a company that has a relationship with each company. So it is not impossible, but the news that WayRay has could be anything. Yes, it could be something great saying, hey, we're partnering up with Metamaterials on a heads-up display on a particular vehicle, but it could also literally be just a vehicle that they made on their own with either a company like Covestro or another company. There's also news that WayRay could be entering the stock market through a SPAC or a special purpose acquisition company, something we've talked about on this channel a lot as well. So it could be a little bit of everything. But again, it's really cool being a part of these, I guess you can call it families of people that have a similar personality that brought them into investing into a company like Metamaterial, because you get a lot of point of views about what could potentially be happening with this company. And this is all just ultimately coming from people that have a lot of belief in the long-term possibilities of this company. But this will really be interesting, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens this upcoming Monday. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this. I know this is a really quick video. I just got this information pretty recently, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. But until next time, take care.